coloring thing that I thought might be something a little bit different, you're welcome to do that. It's just more simplifying. So when we're adding fractions, so if the number on the bottom is the same, we can add the fractions together, because 1/4 plus 2/4 is equal to 3/4. So if I was to draw a box and divide it up, 1/4 plus 2/4 is just 3/4. So we only add the top. However, when we have numbers with different bottom numbers, it gets a little bit trickier because it's harder to imagine these numbers as they are. So what we can do is we can change our numbers just like what we did before when we were doing our equivalent fractions. So we're going to change our numbers so that the bottom numbers are the same. So here I have 1/3 plus 2/6. So the bottom number is different. So we're going to make both these numbers the same. So we can do 3 times 2, and we can turn it into a 6. But what we do to the bottom, we also have to do to the top, which is what's written here. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 1 times 2 is 2. So now we have 2 on 6 plus 2 on 6. The bottom number is now the same, so we can add them together. Now you only add the top numbers together. So 2 on 6 plus 2 on 6 is 4 on 6. And you can see that 4 on 6 can be simplified to 2 on 3, because 2 is a common factor. So let's do a couple of examples. So 7 on 11 plus 2 on 11. Well, we have 11 on the bottom and 11 on the bottom, so we can add these together. So we go 7 plus 2 is 9. But we do not add the bottoms. The bottom stays as 11. Here we have 3 on 7 plus 2 on 7. The bottom is the same, so we can just do 3 plus 2 is 5/7. Hopefully this is something pretty easy, and you remember this from last year, but if you don't, give it a go. If you do, go through it, try to do it as quickly as possible. Now, here we have some numbers that have different denominators, so different numbers on the bottom. So here we have a 16 and here we have a 4. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to change this 4 into a 16. So how do we change a 4 into 16? Well, we would times by 4. Now what we do to the bottom, we also do to the top. So this is equal to 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 4, 16. Plus 1 on 16. Now, the denominators are the same, so we can add the tops together. So 13/16. Now, what if we get some weird numbers that you can't just change one of them? So here I have a 14 and here I have a 3. What we can do is we can do a little trick and we can multiply the right fraction by the denominator of the bottom, and we can multiply the left fraction by the denominator of the right. So this is just 1/3, and we're going to times it by 14. We're going to times this by 14. We're going to times this by 14. Now this is a 1 on 3, So we're going to times this fraction by 3. We're going to times this by 3. We're going to times this one by 3. So this then equals 3 times 3, which is 9, over 3 times 14, which is, you can chuck that into a calculator if you need to, but that is 42. And then this one over here, 1 times 14, 14, and then 3 times 14, which is 42. You can see we got the same number on the bottom because we times the fraction by the denominator of the other one. So this then just equals 23, because 9 plus 14, over 42. Now here, again, the denominators are different. So we're going to times this one by 19, because that number there is 19. We're going to times this one by 19. And then we're going to times this one by 2, because there's a 2 down here. So we're just going to times this by 2, and we're going to times this by 2. Now hopefully that makes sense. If this doesn't make sense, message me and I can go through a few more with you. So multiplying fractions. Now this is really easy. All we do is we multiply the tops together and the bottoms together. So 3 times 5 and then 4 times 7. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We can sometimes simplify at the end, so if you can simplify, make sure you do it. So here we have 1 over 6 times 3 over 4. So we just do 1 times 3 and 6 times 4. 1 times 3, 3. 6 times 4, 24. Now we can simplify this. You might need a little bit more space, but 3 is just 3 times 1. And 24, you write out the factors of 24, you'll end up getting 3 times 8. So this is going to be equal to 3 times 1 over 3 times 8. Now 3 is the highest common number, so we can cancel that out because there's a 3 on the top and the bottom, so this just simplifies to 1 on 8. So if you're not sure about the simplifying, again, speak with me, but hopefully the timesing is pretty straightforward. Just times the top 2 numbers together and the bottom 2 numbers together. So this one here would be 1 times 2, 2, and then 2 times 7 is 14, but there's a common factor of 2 here, so we end up with 1 over 7. And we'll just do one more quickly. 3 times 4, and 4 times 5, which is 12 over 20. So hopefully you can do that, and then simplify this because there is some common factors. So probability. So when we're writing the probability, we write on the top the number of things that we want to happen, and on the bottom we write the total. So the probability of picking a white jelly bean, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would mean there's 5 things that we want to get. And there is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right. Nice and simple, nice and straightforward. So the thing that happens the most is obviously going to have the most jelly beans, and the thing that happens the least is going to have the fewer jelly beans. So we can see there's only 1 green, there's 3 pinks, there's 3 yellows, and there's 5 whites.